Hey everybody, this is just a quick ministry update. Included, you'll get to hear more about what's happening in Fort Worth, what's happening next, what I'm doing, but you'll also get to hear two testimonies. One from one of the men that I've been discipling at SMU for a few years now. His name is Martin Baez-Tolu, and you'll get to hear from him first. But then also you'll get to hear from one of my donors, the director of the Center for Faith and Learning program at Southern Methodist University. His name is Dr. Matthew Wilson, and you'll get to hear from him before I close out the video. So with that being said, here's a quick snapshot of what's happening in CBMC Fort Worth. First, we've got new ground breaking. We are getting ready to launch the first C3 team. Now, C3 teams in some are meant to be environments that are missionally focused, where men can be relationally impacted as they're expanding both their spiritual and professional lives by praying over one another, learning the scriptures together, and praying for the lost together. So we'll be launching a C3 team. I've connected with one of the professional life coaches in the Fort Worth area, and he and I are going to be working together for the C3 team and some other efforts. And I'm super excited and thankful to Dale Young for the opportunities he's allowing CBMC to help build. Second, I will be at Faith Driven Entrepreneurs on September 28th at Solid Rock Church. I'd love it if you could join me there. And that's the big pieces. I'll talk about a couple smaller things, updates on Operation Timothy and things like that at the close of this video. But with that being said, here is a testimony from Martin Baez-Tolu.
Hello, my name's Martin Baez-Tolu. JT asked that I give my testimony, just my life with Christ. Starting in college. So really, I mean, honestly, the start of it is literally just I was my freshman year. I was a dumbass because that's essentially what I was. I kind of ran around with my friends, did dumb things, and didn't really care about taking myself seriously in the slightest. That kind of really changed like halfway through the first semester, my sophomore year. A few things just happened all at once, and I had to reevaluate my life. Just figure out, okay, who am I as a person? What am I doing with my time? That kind of started a maturing process. And then JT was a part of that process along with a couple other people. But JT especially started being involved in my life at the start of the spring semester, my sophomore year. I got an amazing conversation with him where he gave me his testimony. And I don't know how some people think about pinpointing times when before and after they were Christian, but like if I had to pinpoint a time, I would say it was that conversation, which was great for me. But the problem was that I'm still an idiot, undeveloped Christian, because like even though I was raised Christian my entire life, there's just a lot of stuff that was left undeveloped. And I'm happy to say that JT just took up the reins and held my hand throughout that entire sanctification process. He put like immense amounts of effort into discipling me, which I really can't thank him enough for. He's still discipling me to this day, which I just can't thank him enough for. It's been a blessing to have him in my life, and I really hope that like I can continue to have him as a blessing in my life for ideally the next decades to come. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Matthew Wilson. I'm the director of the Center for Faith and Learning at SMU, as well as a professor in the political science department there. And I'm delighted to support JT Martin's ministry. I'm delighted to support his ministry for a variety of reasons. First of all, JT has a faith that is incredibly enthusiastic and infectious. And I see him use that faith to bring the church, to bring the light of Christ to others day in and day out. The number of people that he is individually and meaningfully discipling has grown over the years, but it has not grown to such a level that he can't give personal one-on-one attention. JT is very thoughtful and very intentional about his ministry, and he disciples a number of people that he can meaningfully know and interact with and be with them step by step on their. I think that's incredibly valuable. One of the other things that I think is great about JT's ministry is that he brings a real knowledge and a scholarship about the faith. He is eager to learn. JT has soaked up knowledge about church history and theology and scripture and the various permutations of the Christian faith over the centuries, like a sponge. He's eager to learn those things. He's eager to learn them not only to grow in his own faith, but also so that he can share them with others, use them as tools of discipleship, really understand the truth of that gospel message that he's trying to bring to other people. I think that's unusual, and I think it really sets his ministry apart from a lot of what other people are doing in trying to build the kingdom and to serve Christ. I see JT interact with other students. I see JT interact with business professionals in the community. And I think this is exactly the sort of one-on-one discipleship. This is exactly the sort of meaningful walk in the faith with others that Christians should be excited about and should certainly be supporting if we are not able to do it ourselves. So I'm proud, again, to support JT's ministry. I'm very, very pleased to continue doing so. And I would urge others to do so to the extent that they're able. Thanks.
I am so encouraged just getting to hear Martin's story, even though I've been a part of it. And the things that Dr. Wilson has had to say have been uplifting and encouraging. It's hard for me to put into words how meaningful it is for both of them to be a part of my life in the way that they are. So Operation Timothy is going exceedingly well. I'm continuing to move through the process with my mentor and Phil Carlson, who's one of my supervisors at CBMC. And I'm also slowly getting used to being somebody who pours out in this intense of a way in so many different people's lives. Something that marks Operation Timothy as decidedly different from so many of the other things out there is the fact that it can take years to go through the process. Operation Timothy isn't just something that you go through for information. It builds a relationship, and the depth of that relationship can change, but it's the same level of meaningfulness. You touch raw nerves, you have to work through difficult issues. But that's what makes Operation Timothy special, and it's what makes it worth it to walk through with men. And so that's what's going on with Operation Timothy. Now, I do need to talk about finances a little bit. At the beginning of the year, I had a goal of fundraising $50,000. In order to do that, my boss secured a matching fund, and there were some major gifts that came in, and I got to $30,000, and we're almost at $32,000 for the year. And there have been some gifts along the way, and I have a wealth of monthly supporters who continue to give. But in order to do some of the things I'm about to talk about, I need to raise $18,000 just for ministry budget. This isn't going to my salary. This is strictly money to be spent for God's kingdom. So here's some of what it's going to help do. I need $18,000 in order to effectively run the C3 team. This is going to include helping reimburse the church that's allowing us to use that space for the C3 meetings. It's also going to help pay for coffee and things like that that are part of the C3 process. It's going to be something that helps make those meetings possible and worthwhile for the men who attend. Second, one of the things that's in the works that's going to require money is we're looking at launching a networking initiative for active professionals in Fort Worth. And that's going to cost money. We're going to have to be able to get vendors. We're going to have to be able to find space. There's a whole lot that goes into that process. And our hope is to eventually do this about once a quarter. And so that's another piece. Second, part of that $18,000 is $1,800 to help augment CBMC's The Confluence. That $1,800 is going to allow us to stream The Confluence to different locations in the Metroplex that are key for providing access to The Confluence in person, where questions can be answered in a way that engages people in areas that we aren't currently able to bring in just due to drive times. Most of the men in Fort Worth who are going to be involved in CBMC are looking like they're going to be further on the west side. And in order for the Confluence to be a viable option, it needs to be closer to home for them. And so $1,800 goes a long way towards being able to make that possible by creating a streaming option that these men can meet at a different location and still be involved in the main process at the Hope Center in Plano. So let's recap. We're launching a C3 team. We're looking at starting a networking initiative that has quarterly meetings for active professionals. We have costs associated with each of those. And realistically, in order to meet the budgetary needs of what CBMC is trying to do in Fort Worth, I need to raise an additional $18,000. So please consider partnering with me both in prayer that God would provide the finances, but also prayer over whether or not God is calling you to give to what CBMC is trying to do for his kingdom in Fort Worth. I am so thankful for everything that each of you who watches this does for my ministry and has done for my ministry. I am excited to see what God is going to continue to do. And with that being said, I'm going to move to a couple of personal updates. First and foremost, I finished with 2 A- in my first semester at seminary. This was a really hard thing for me to do because I was working 40 hours a week and going to grad school. Second, I've ended up changing degrees. I'm not doing the Master's of Divinity, which is a longer degree. I've decided to do a Master's in Theological Studies, something that hones in on the way that the Lord has gifted me to absorb information and be able to give it access to it to other people. So I'm switching lanes to do the MTS, which means I'll be graduating in May of 2023. Second, I may also be moving out of Texas here within the next year or two. I'm looking at a couple of different programs to continue my education after I've finished at seminary. And so who knows what the Lord is doing in my life. But while I'm in Texas and while I'm in this area, I am committed to striving for what God has called me to do in and through CBMC. So that's what's on the horizon for me personally. Again, I am so thankful to everything each of you does to support this ministry. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you later.